Welcome everyone, this is John Adolphi. Welcome to the Lost World Museum, where we talk about apes, aliens, or Adam. What does that mean? That means that we talk about origins. Today we're going to talk about the Ark of the Covenant, and just as a way of introduction here, the Ark of the Covenant is a fascinating subject. Wait till you see what we have here for you today. Maybe you've seen it in Raiders of the Lost Ark, but really didn't get a chance to see what it really was. Not that it mattered for the film, but it does for today. So I'm really excited. Apes, aliens, or Adam? Let me just go back to that. We're asking the question, where did we come from? Did we come from an ape-like creature 3 to 4 million years ago? Did we come from an alien assistance, meaning that they genetically assisted the evolutionary process some 35,000 years ago, giving us technology 5,000 years ago, which then propelled us to where we are today, but apparently lost quite a bit of it, according to the theory? Or did we come from a race of genius giants by the names of Adam and Eve as our first parents some 6 to 10,000 years ago, and there was a worldwide flood some 4,500 years ago? That's what we're talking about. We're going to go back in time around 1,500 years ago, and that is in regards to the Ark of the Covenant. Let's talk about it, okay? During the time of Moses, all right, he had gone up on the mountain and received the 10 Commandments. In the process of that, because Israel had spent 400 years with a pagan, sun-worshiping community, and it was permeated throughout their society, they needed a little helping hand. Why not build them sort of like a picture or a model, okay, that they could participate in and start to dawn on them how it really works, as opposed to what they were. Now, I'm not saying that they were worshiping the way of the Egyptians. What I am saying, though, is that for 400 years they were conditioned around that environment. It was time to not only break away physically, but also spiritually and experientially. So the Ark of the Covenant was a part of that beautiful model that was they're going to be utilizing for the sake of salvation. I want to thank everyone for coming on tonight, or this morning, I mean, and let me just give you a peek at what the Ark looked like. Now, I'm going to give you some dimensions. I'm going to give you some information. You may want to take some notes. You're welcome to. Grab a pen or paper, pen that writes, and some paper. Here we go. The size of the Ark of the Covenant, and I'll give us a little helping hand here, okay, was 47 inches by 27 inches by 27 inches. Now, I'm going to take the top off for just a second. That was the box itself. What was it made of? They had a wood called shittim wood, S-H-I-T-T-I-M, or in the Revised Version Bible, it's translated as acacia wood. Now, acacia wood is a hard wood that is impervious to water, moisture. It's very strong, and rightly so. So they built the box at those specific dimensions that was shown Moses on the mountain. Let me go back just a little bit. So Jesus, in the form of his pre-incarnate form, was the one that actually did the visiting with Moses. He visited with Moses. He told him what it needed to look like. And check this out. This was a pattern from heaven, meaning that what he was about to show him was a pattern most likely much larger in heaven. So Moses constructed this. It's really not ultra huge, actually, if you think about it. 4 feet by a little over 2.5, or almost 2.5 feet by 2.5 feet. Not overly large, but fraught, full of incredible symbolism, and I'll get to a second why this was so important. So it had gold on the outside, so not like gold plates or gold leaf. They put gold on the outside, and they put gold on the inside as well too. Then they had 4 rings, okay? So we'll just call these rings right here, all right? So these 4 rings were there. Hold on one second. They had 4 rings, and these wooden poles. Now let me tell you a little bit about the wooden poles. This is what they used to carry it, but they were also made out of acacia wood and then covered in gold. So you had gold all inside and out. And then 4 men would carry this to wherever they needed to or instructed to. Most of the time, this stayed in what they called the Holy of Holies inside the sanctuary, where this, and I'll get to the second piece here, this pure gold top was, or lid was on top of it. God himself, in the form of Jesus, pre-incarnate, meaning before he became a baby in the manger, would dwell right here in the middle of these 2, what they call covering cherub. These 2 angels would cover themselves, kind of give a covering to the Shekinah glory. That's what they called it. It's a Hebrew word. And the wings touched. And so this is a model of what it looks like in heaven. Here's the really cool part. One of these angels in heaven is now Gabriel. But Gabriel took the place of Lucifer. That was his name in heaven. We know him as Satan and Lucifer here on earth. But Lucifer means day star or morning star. He was one of the covering cherub. He was right there in the throne room of God. After the rebellion and after the war in heaven and after he was ousted and after he came to planet Earth and waited for our creation and then did what he did with Adam and Eve. Before all that, this is where he was. After that, Gabriel took his spot. So this gives us a picture of what is in heaven or what it looks like. Fraught full of meaning. What was inside of it is very important. We're going to show that in just a second. And again, like we showed before, they would carry it, blow a horn when they were instructed to, not very often, but they would transport the ark when it was necessary. Sometimes they transported the ark when they weren't supposed to. And there's a whole, many stories in regards to the exploits of the ark, which we will not be getting into today. Now, what we want to concentrate on today is what was inside the ark. Good question. I'll show you what this model has inside, and then I'll show you something a little bit more. I don't know if you can see all that right there. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look. Let's start with Aaron's rod. And I have right here a replica of Aaron's rod, and I'll just set this down here for right now. And here's how and I'll just set it down. Let me tell you how the story goes. Do you remember in the movie The 10 Commandments when Moses went before Pharaoh and he grabbed a hold of the staff of his older brother Aaron and he cast it down before the Pharaoh, and it turned into a snake and ate up the other 2 snakes? That was Aaron's rod or Aaron's staff. Now, what happened was there was a dispute as to who was going to be in charge. And so while people were murmuring and complaining and they were, fighting for, prominence, God said, take all you candidates, let's put your staffs together, and tomorrow morning, let's see what happens. In the morning, it was Aaron's, think about this for a second, dead piece of wood sprouted almonds, flowers, leaves, and almonds. This, according to Jewish tradition, was broken up into 3 pieces and placed inside the ark. Obviously, the whole rod couldn't fit because it logistically wouldn't be able to. Very interesting. So this was either leaning up against or it was severed into 3 pieces and placed in the ark. That's one of the things that was in the ark. The other thing that was in the ark, and let's just go ahead and show, there's Aaron's rod. The other thing that was inside the ark was manna. Do you guys know what manna is? All right. Manna is food that God fed the Israelites while they were in the wilderness for those 40 years. So instead of giving them a convenience store, hamburgers, or whatever, he gave them very simple food. The reason why he did that is so that, well, I don't know how many of you have ever trained for anything or ever tried to lose weight or just to try to feel better. You know that when you either fast or eat sparingly or eat very simple foods, it can really energize the body. The mind starts to work. It's sharper, it's clearer, it feels fantastic. They were being tested, and it wasn't going to be a long test, but it ended up being 40 years because they failed miserably. One of the things that God provided for them, without them having to go to the store, having to go and farm, was manna. Now, this is replica of manna. Manna was white. It looked like coriander seed, and that is coriander seed right there, painted white. And this is what they found on the ground. And this is what their instructions were. Every morning they were to go out and harvest 1 day's worth. Then they would pulverize it and make cakes and whatnot out of it. But they were to get 1 day's worth of food when they harvest. If they went any further than 1 day, the amount that they had left over for the next day, like if they wanted to save up, spoiled. That's right, it's spoiled. But check this out. On Friday, which was the preparation day, the day before the Sabbath, the seventh-day Sabbath, they would go out and they were instructed to collect 2 portions, one for Friday and one for Saturday. Once they ate their portions for Friday, the portion for Sabbath or Saturday was preserved supernaturally. It did not deteriorate. It did not mold. They could eat it. Very interesting. This also was inside the Ark of the Covenant, a pot of manna. The most important thing that was inside the Ark of the Covenant, I'll show you in just a second, was this. And I get a kick out of what I'm about to show you, and that is the 10 Commandments. Why do I get a kick out of it? Because this is the first time in 20 years I've been able to show this particular graphic. What you're seeing here, not only is it a representation of the 10 Commandments, that right there was being sold on eBay back in 2001, just as an aside here. Those are the original, one set of the original 10 Commandments from the 1956 Cecil B. DeMille's film, The 10 Commandments with Charlton Heston. I've kept this ever since, and this is the first time we got a chance to use it. The 10 Commandments were inside the Ark of the Covenant. Now think about it for a second. The Aaron's rod, you had the manna, but the most important thing inside here was God's law. And so check this out. So you had the 10 Commandments in here, and there's like a little representation right there of it, okay? 2 tablets of stone, written in stone for the perpetuity of the law. That's why it was written in stone. And may I add, written by the finger of Jesus himself up on the mountain when he gave them to Moses. This is going to be the second set because the first set were broken. Some believe that both sets were in here. When we find the ark, and I hope we do, and I believe we will, before this is all over with, we'll see if there's 1 or 2 sets in there. There will be at least 1 intact set of the 10 Commandments. But look where the 10 Commandments lie. Here's the Shekinah glory of God, and I'll just kind of give a shape to it. You've got the 2 covering cherub, a completely gold top, gold box that's a rectangle. It's perfect. And inside, below, him above, is the 10 Commandments. Does that sound like anything that we know here in the United States? It shows that God utilizes the rule of law as his standard of, well, righteousness or living and judgment and his character, all rolled into one, and I'm sure that there's more. That's why this is so important. Somebody asked the other day, what's the relevance for us today? Well, we're not going to worship it, and if we could find it, touching it isn't going to do anything. It's just a question of having the symbolism of what it means and to be able to gain an experiential knowledge with it. That's why it's so important. And what's really cool is that this is up in heaven in some form. And he brought it down here to show us what it's all about. Interesting, though, that this and this are the foundation of his government. Interesting. Now, Satan in heaven, when they fought, it was over whether or not there should be any rule of law at all. They said, well, first off, I'm sure they said, what law? And then they said, well, we want freedom from it. There is freedom in it. You know, if you ever have a puppy or a child, you want to keep them safe, you put a hedge or a fence around them so that they can't run out into the road or into the pool and get hurt or die, you know. This is the same idea. Let's see what else we have. Well, that's it for today. I'm going to give you a number that you can text us. That number right there allows you to be able to get alerted whenever we go on live or have a new piece of content. It's free, but it's only good for the United States and Canada. It's a service we provide, and so if you would like to text us, just text us and say, hey, John, and I'll say, hey, welcome to the club. And then from that point forward until you cease to want to have them, every time we have a new video, I'll send you a link. Whenever we go live, I'll send you the link as well. All right. And also, too, for those of you that would love to hear from us about what's going on during the week or whatever, every Sunday, we send out a newsletter to a group of individuals that are enthusiastic about what we're doing. So if you'd like to give it a try, again, it's free. Just go to museumalerts.com. And when you do subscribe to this newsletter, you're going to get a free report. And the report that we have up here at this time of us taping is the 3 reasons, top reasons why Noah's Ark must still exist. I'm John Adolphi with the Lost World Museum. Thank you for attending our live presentation, and we're going to do a short Q&A, and then we'll call it a day. Why do you think he used gold? I don't know. I know that gold is pure, and it's used symbolically throughout the Bible as showing purity, just like white is a symbol of purity, light is a symbol of purity, a virgin is a symbol of purity, so is gold. He equates here's the bottom line. Here's what God wants to do. We're going to end on this. He wants us to become like him. And so the Ark of the Covenant shows that law inside the box is the same thing as him inside us. That's the idea, at least. That's the ultimate, the restoration, not the covering over, not the excusing constantly without any change, but the infusion of him in us. That's what, in part, this entails. So the gold, he wants our works, or he wants us to be like gold, pure gold, where all the dross or the imperfections are boiled out of the metal. Dross is equated to the word sin, or just a unsavory or ungodlike attitude or actions or character. He wants to remove the dross from the gold and have pure gold, and pure gold is the goal. All right. Okay, we'll see you on our next video. Thank you.